time for the top 10, starting with Herbalife, up more than 1% today. The nutritional supplements company reports first quarter earnings after the bell. Analysts surveyed by Bloomberg are expecting earnings of $1.06 a share on revenues of $1.1 billion. We will have full coverage and instant analysis of the results coming right up.
Number 9, we've got a twofer. Valiant and Activist. Both stocks are rising. Merger talks between the companies here have stalled over pricing, according to people familiar with the matter. Generic drug makers had sought to announce a merger as soon as today before Activist balked at the premium that was being offered by Valiant.
At number 8, we've got Deutsche Bank. Those shares, as they're traded here in the U.S., up more than 3%. The bank plans to raise as much as $6.3 billion by selling shares and subordinated instruments. Co-CEO Anshu Jain, he's overhauling operations and seeking to boost capital levels to meet stricter rules that were laid down by regulators.
And Abercrombie & Fitch, shares of the teen clothing retailer up 2% today. An analyst in Macquarie raising the stock to outperform from neutral. The analyst cites margin improvement and earnings expansion for the upgrade. We will speak to the analyst behind the call. That's coming up later this hour.
And number 6, SINA, surging 10%. Alibaba, China's largest e-commerce company, has agreed to buy an 18% stake in SINA's Weibo. This is the microblogging platform. Alibaba, which is partly owned by Yahoo, says it has paid $586 million for the stake in China's equivalent of Twitter.
At number 5 is Sprint. Those shares, little change. Sprint says SoftBank is allowing it to seek more information from Dish Networks related to its rival bid for the U.S. cell phone company. Sprint isn't allowed to actually provide non-public information to Dish. It can't enter into negotiations with the company, but it can seek more information. A little unclear, you guys, what exactly this does for Sprint, and judging from the share reaction today, it doesn't do a whole lot.
Well, I'll tell you something, what Dish is trying to do, bring together, in effect, a TV network with Sprint, a phone network, maybe the blueprint for where this whole business is going. Everything seems to be converging, all machines and all software.
Well, if it can get it done, which right now isn't looking.
And which one is going to be better for shareholders as well?
Yeah, a lot of question marks on this deal. All right, let's talk about Tenet. No questions here. The stock jumping 6% on news the hospitals will get a pay raise from the U.S. government for treating Medicare patients. The government plans to raise payments 0.8%, 0.8%, beginning October 1st for services that elderly and disabled patients receive after being admitted to hospitals.
And number 3, another double. Moodys and Standard & Poor's parent company McGraw-Hill, both stocks are rallying today. Moodys and S&P have settled lawsuits that accuse them of concealing risky investments. Investors had claimed the ratings agencies gave inflated grades on 2 structured investment vehicles.
Sticking with financials at number 2, we've got J.P. Morgan. Those shares, not much change today, but one of the bank's co-chief operating officers is leaving the company. Frank Bisignano, he's departing to become CEO of payment processor First Data. That leaves Matt Zames as the sole COO of J.P. Morgan, effective immediately.
And here's another J.C. Penney, shares up 1% today, the number 1 stock in our top 10 countdown. And of course, you know what's happening here. The retailer working to rebound from the lowest annual sales in more than 2 decades. It's getting a $1.75 billion loan from good old Goldman Sachs. The 5-year senior secured term loan can be used to fund JCPenney's operations as well as pay off some of its debt. And there is the closing bell here on Monday, April 29th in New York City.